Hi there. Welcome back to Rehab to Riches,
There's
the
just so much
podcast.
to catch you up on. So much.
Yeah, we'll right into it.
Okay, yeah, like right into
Okay,
it. I
okay.
can't wait to do that. I spent so much money on coaching and courses and just like and things over the past few years. And I'm all about like investing in myself, but I feel like the world, it's like there's all these like fembot 7-figure coaches who are like,
Mm,
oh, it's this. And I'm just realizing like, first of all, everybody's lying about how much money they make. Second of all, I just feel really naive and kind of stupid because I had been paying this woman a lot of money, and then on Monday I reconnected with a former coach who I was
right.
working with last year, and apparently they were kind of working together, and she just gave me all this tea on this woman, and I had to tell the other lady like a week ago. I've been telling her, I'm like, I really can't afford this. Like, it was $3,500 a month. And I was like, listen, I really wanted to be in a place where I could afford this, but like, this is really
Right.
not working. And not only that, my business had like tanked in the like 2 or 3 months
So
I
her
was
coaching
working.
wasn't working.
No, my business had gone the opposite way. And I was starting to doubt everything I knew about myself and my business. I was like, gaslighting myself. And then after talking with this other woman, we put all of these pieces together. And I feel like most people mean well. I do.
Right. Right.
But I just think you have to be careful on the internet. And it was a very expensive lesson. And I had to tell her, like, look, I can't do this anymore. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. You can cancel. We just require 30 days notice. So it'll be $3,500. But you won't get any sessions. And I was like, listen,
American dollars.
American dollar. I'm like, bitch, I know you don't care about me paying my bills, but I do. And like, your girl's got priorities. Like,
Right.
oh
If you
my
want to give
God.
me her number, I can definitely pull up and be like, what?
Yeah, right?
Do
Right?
we need to fight?
Oh
That is
God.
insane.
Has that ever happened
That's
to you with
terrible.
like a coach?
Okay. Yeah, so I think this brings up something important, which is like how there are a lot of coaches out there. How do you know who
So
to
many.
trust, right? So yeah, I think that's something that I've struggled with is like trying to be perceived as legitimate because
Yeah,
I can tell you the certificates and the training and stuff, but unless
right.
you verify them,
It's a
you don't
vibe.
really know. And
Right.
then also you just don't, I want to deliver value. So there are all kinds of, ways that can do you could get around that, using coaching federations and
Yeah.
services. Like that's why I signed up for with Numi because like get to start to aggregate my reviews, right?
Right. Yeah. So important.
So if you were a client of mine, I would ask you, okay, so so everything shows up for you when you need it because it's about like yourself and your own progress. So I
Yeah.
would ask you and say, so let's flip the script or flip the positions and let's assume that you're the coach in this position and then the client feels this way about you. What sorts of ways could you inoculate your practice from having that experience that you
So
had?
what I am doing, and I have really come to this conclusion, and everything I've been learning on school just verifies it, is that like I am moving away from high ticket into a low ticket recurring revenue. So I'm going to be doing $299 a month, cancel at any time, because I believe that we're all fucking adults and that
Right.
you can decide whether or not you're getting value from it. If you are, great. If you're not, that's great too. That like
Right.
you find out
Right.
and then you're able to leave. I see a lot of coaches actually moving away from these high ticket, really expensive containers, not
Right.
exclusively, because I think one-on-one is still great. It's really great to have one person who's dedicated to you and
Right.
pouring into
Yeah.
you, but not everybody needs it, and not everybody needs it for such a long, locked in time.
Right.
And so
Right.
I believe that I'm really going to this pay as you go thing. And the other thing is like one-on-one clients are intuitive. Like they buy
Right.
when they have the time and the money and the space to do it. So to build your entire
Right.
business on these really high ticket one-on-one containers is very volatile. And I feel like,
Yeah.
and I've seen this in the school games, that like all of the school games winners who have won with, which is a competition on school to see who can grow the most monthly recurring in 30 days. All the ones who did it selling high ticket, the next month they fell off, because if you sell
Right.
$150,000 of high ticket, you are
Yeah.
swamped.
Right.
There are expectations, you have to do the work, you have to deliver, and actually not all clients are advanced enough to take advantage of such a container. So it's like,
Mm,
it's everybody's responsibility. But there's this girl who I was in the 100 with last month. She's doing like 700K a month and
mm.
with a $99 membership.
Okay. See, that I would feel comfortable doing. So, okay, I like that, but I want to stick with, if we can, for a little longer,
Okay, go
your
back.
pain point. Yeah, because
Go back.
I feel like, we can have some productive venting here, right? So
Yeah.
I want to hear, like, so I want you to sort of articulate better for me, like, what are the things, because we're gonna pivot to what you want, right? We are gonna pivot to what you want. So
Yeah.
don't worry, this is not just a bitch
Oh,
session, but
this
I
is
want to
good.
hear
I fucking
more.
love this. This is
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, me too. Me too. I love problems. So I want to hear more about your experience with this, because I also, just from like a nosy standpoint, like I haven't had this experience, so I want to hear more about your experience with this, and what do you think are the main problems with those high ticket offers and what was happening, and then we'll pivot to, like, some solutions. But let's talk more about. So what do you think are the main downsides of what's occurring in that sort of business model?
You mean in that business model or in this specific situation with me?
Well, yeah. So let's talk about both.
Well, I think it's hard to know. First of all, okay, so the downsides are I don't think you necessarily know that much about what a coach brings to the table until you're in the container.
Right.
I think that we're all just like at different levels. Not everybody speaks your language. You might think that you guys are on the
Right.
same page, but you both have really different beliefs and values and like
Right.
priorities. And everyone wants to be able to help. I think they want to be helpful, but they might not have the specialized knowledge in your area of
Yeah.
expertise to like
Yeah.
actually connect the dots, which I
Yeah.
think is something I was looking for. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily blame her. I kind of blame myself. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like it was a huge learning experience. And what's interesting is like for the past few months, my intuition was telling me that like I was doubting everything about myself that I was like, did I like
Mm,
my business isn't going to make it. I'm not going to make it. This is never going to work. And I was questioning everything about me, even though there was a voice that was like, this just isn't aligned. And it wasn't even about her. It was about like,
mm,
I needed different inputs. And also like, some people can just kind of like railroad you. And like, I have learned how to like trust my intuition because in talking to this
yeah.
other coach, I'm realizing like we were both kind of thinking and feeling and experiencing the same things, but because we were isolated, we were
Yeah.
doubting ourselves when really it was like, this
Hmm.
just is not an aligned match.
Ooh, okay. Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that, is that when you met this coach, that you had a lot of ideas and assumptions, but you weren't necessarily talking the same language.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so I wanted to know, do you think that this could be um, something indicative of, like, of just relationships that you have? Like, do you think that maybe that might be like the crux of relationships, like that maybe you arrive at relationships and you're not, maybe, like, you need some way to establish, like, so that values and what is
Right.
important, so that you're speaking the same
Right.
language,
Because I
because you
just
spend
like get
time with
along with
somebody and you
everybody.
invest.
And I feel
Yeah.
like, oh, we have all this in common, and I'm finding all the commonalities and I'm finding the things that we agree on, but I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily going in with like eyes wide open, like, okay, let's see how this develops. And so
Yeah.
this, yeah, has been a huge lesson for me all throughout my life. I'm still learning how to do it because I just believe the best in everybody. And like I said,
Yeah.
it's not that I think all these people are out here with ill intent. I don't think that's the
Right,
case.
right, right.
I
Yeah,
think it just
they're
takes
just not
time.
your kind of smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, so what ends up happening for me, I think, is that I am the conclusion that I secretly arrive at. I never say this to other people because I'm, like, I'm a nice person or whatever. But I just think, oh, they're a fucking idiot. Okay, got it. Do you know what I mean? Because their intelligence is probably just as great as mine, but it's not in my domain.
Right.
And because I realized that we weren't speaking the same language, I'm like, okay, they're the worst. Got it. Okay, moving
Right.
on. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
that's what I'm really thinking, right? And
Yeah.
so I have to sometimes, like, give myself a shorthand, which is like, I have to know what I'm fucking stupid at. Like, what am I fucking bad at? Like, embarrassingly bad at, right?
Right.
Like the things that I'm embarrassingly
Limitations
bad at.
create style.
Right. So I have to just remind myself, oh, they're the fucking worst, just like I'm the fucking worst with numbers, right? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like I
Right.
have to
Right.
remind myself that they probably have another domain and they fit in somewhere else.
Their own zone of
And
genius.
yeah, and then when I come to the relationship, I have to remind myself too that there I have the propensity to do that because you're just like me. Like we're so optimistic. We want the world for people. We want the best. So when we're talking and they're nodding their head, we're like, they must be understanding
Right.
because we're not the sort of person that's going to be nodding our head if we don't, we don't realize that it can be overwhelming to experience. Oh my God. He's like, hello, you don't see I want this
Right.
door? That
But I
was the
think
funniest.
that we're very like intuitive too, and we're just like so
Yeah.
stupid. But like you get things very quickly. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So you
Yeah,
expect everybody to be like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah. And so there are two things that happen with me. It's that sometimes I meet somebody that's really capable and then I get disappointed and I don't realize that part of what I'm doing is I'm not enabling their genius because I'm so passionate that when I come in, I don't notice that they really want to meet my needs, and so they may not feel 100% comfortable being like, I don't get this at all. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm just moving
right,
so fast, and
right,
they're nodding their head, and I feel the energy of them wanting, but that
yeah,
doesn't mean that they're capable of.
right,
Do you know what I mean?
right,
And um, so I have to remind myself to slow down and like so I often model that right away. Like at the beginning of this conversation, I started to paraphrase and kind of just like because I have to teach myself to do that in coaching now, which is like slow down, take those breaks because people need time to think because they just don't think fast. Do you know what
right,
I mean? People are humans and they're kind of I'm so sorry for them. Do you know what I
right,
mean? Like I'm not. I
right.
don't do that. Like I've already thought. Like they need time to think. I'm like, my brain works with electricity. So it's
Right.
just,
We're
it's
already
already
plugged
been
in.
thought. Right. Yeah. It's there. But sometimes people need time to think because they don't spend their lives in the domain that we spend our lives in, which is the business of how we problem solve, right? We're
Yeah,
constantly thinking of like the minute that you have a problem, you're like me, you start to think, why did I do that? And like what sorts of things people don't do that in general. They might think, why did I do that? But they go to a punitive, why did I do that? Like, do you
right,
know what I mean?
right.
Oh, it's because you're an idiot or you know what I mean? But we
Yeah,
tend to think like, what sorts of tools or, what
yeah.
can I
No,
like,
exactly,
yes. So
exactly.
when we're talking to somebody about it, like they're just like, you're a freaking genius. And you're thinking, because I done been thought about this like for years, bitch. Like, where have
Right,
you been? Right.
right,
Yeah, they're just waking up to this experience because they were thinking about things that were really life important, like for years that we never thought about, right? Do you know
right,
what I mean?
right,
Like,
right,
like, like, so I think, like for me, my drug use was about like me alleviating, like having to think about those sorts of things because like that
yes,
is like horrible. Like I literally like I hang out with people if they start talking about those sort of adult things. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like,
right,
okay, do
yeah,
you want to kill yourself now or after
yeah.
the check
No, that
comes or
was
like what?
my idea
Yeah.
of hell. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't have this kind of life. I just no.
Mm-mm.
So what are you saying is like this is my fault too?
What?
I mean, are you saying this is my fault too? Which I know I
No,
totally agree.
no,
Or
no,
like
not at
what
all.
can I
So
do better is like I think for me what I'm learning is taking more time to get to know somebody and like building that foundation of trust, which I've also found lacking and I need to do in my like romantic relationships too. Because I
right,
assume
right,
this
right,
is
right.
the same thing.
Well, no, but I wouldn't say it's your fault. I would say that not at all fault. It's so
Responsibility.
it's not fault. It's not it's that you called this experience in
Yeah.
so that you can learn for something bigger, right?
Yeah.
This experience is, and the reason why whenever something's emotionally charged, it's a soul signal.
Yeah.
So that energy that you brought in, that means, ooh, this is important. So you can, if you don't immediately, if you don't take the time to figure out what universe is trying to send to you, then
Hmm.
it'll just come back to you in a bigger, brighter way. And
Right.
it'll just keep coming back bigger and brighter until one day it's like a cancer, right? So you have to decide, okay, right now I'm going to take the time or you just don't. If you don't have the space for it, you don't. It'll come
I
back.
think
It'll come
the
back.
biggest thing I learned was just like trusting my intuition. Like whether or not you feel like you have all the facts, like if your
Right.
intuition is telling you something, trust it. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them or you or anybody. It's like, this just isn't right for me. And that's
Right. Right.
okay.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
got stuck in this huge cycle of like shame and guilt that like I was a failure and that it was never going
Right.
to work. And I'm like,
Right.
why can't I just be further along in my business? Like, why can't I be there, not here?
Right.
And that was it. And we're following this woman like Mommy Onami, and she always talks about like it takes 2 years to become profitable in business. I'm like, that's true. It's just it
Yeah.
takes a lot of energy and time to get the thing up and
Right. And
off
there's
the ground.
cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just going to be up, 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 up.
No,
Right.
no,
Like,
success
yeah.
is not linear.
Right. Right. And if you believe that it's up, 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 like
Then you
when you
question.
get to that point,
Yeah.
then Luigi Mangione comes out of nowhere and hits you in the
Mhm.
back of the head. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be the like,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Like there, nobody that's existing with other people is going to be up, 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 up. So so something that's coming up with my clients is that, so I have several clients that are sort of in situations like that where they're invested in things or where they feel, like they're starting to feel like, oh, I should be this and I should be that.
Right.
And it came up for like 3 clients in like the same week. And I thought to myself, like, huh, I wonder. So I started really thinking about it, and because it like hit home for me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
really hit home for me. And I started to think of because there are all these things that I want and like all these things that I'm doing. Oh, by the way, have you heard of the High Doc? It's like the AI thing. Like I got it and I was going to set it up for this thing, but I didn't set it up in time. It's this thing right here that goes into your Windows computer, right? And it comes with an unlimited subscription to ChatGPT. And so for life. And then what it does is it transcribes all your Zoom meetings and it makes notes and it can like, so it'll
Wow.
take any like Teams meeting, it plugs into your computer, has a little headset. This is a Bluetooth earpiece.
Wow.
That attaches with a little like magnetic thing. But I haven't set it up yet. I was going to do it. And then these are the controls for your Zoom, like hang up, volume, and then, or your speakerphone. Yeah. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna do it for this meeting, but like I didn't in time. ADHD tour, sorry y'all.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
it's just been sitting next to me, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, Manny and Steph are gonna love that." But I'm gonna set it up. But no, that is actually what I'm talking about. Like no things that you want to do and um things that you want to do and things that you want for your business and those goals. So
Yeah.
what I started to ask myself, I was in the shower and I had a client that morning and I was thinking, because I knew where this issue was going to be revisited with one of my clients. And I thought, what do I, what perspective would I take for myself? And I realized, oh, like, whenever I've traveled, wherever I go, it's like, so I was in the Maldives and everybody in the Maldives, nobody has a car, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm on a private island. There's nothing that you need. And I thought if I lived in Malé, like I would feel comfortable not having like a Bentley or whatever car I want. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like because
Right.
nobody has a car.
Because
Because
nobody
nobody
does.
has a car.
Makes you
Right.
feel
Or if
peaceful.
I lived in Mykonos, it would be totally comfortable that I had a little dinghy boat that I used to get around to places. Like if I
Right.
had a Mercedes, they'd be like, you're a gluttonous idiot. This is a small
Yeah.
place. Like you can't have that. And I started to realize that a lot of the things that I want are not necessarily coming from my
They're not-
deepest
Yeah.
desire. And so I thought, well, how do I arrive at that? And then I thought to myself, oh, what if I got in touch with, and I've started to do this all the time now, the little boy version of me and the goals that like if he were to appear next to me and just look me up and down and be like, let me check this bro out, like, and he go, oh, I like him. I like his shoes. Or if he were riding along in a car with me to an interview, oh, I like that he's comfortable in his car. I like that he's having fun with his music. I like the way his skin looks. Like,
Yeah.
like thinking of that's me in 20 or 30 or
Right.
whatever years.
Right.
And so then I started to ask clients that, like, let's reset and let's put you in circumstances like from minute to minute where you're feeling good about what you're doing, right? So you're not referencing this big thing out there. So are you, so as long as the main things are taken care of, you're able to meet, to pay your bills, you're able to, you've got those things. And then what sorts of things do you like around you? Like, is your life cute to you, right? Like,
Right.
do you come home and you're comfortable in your space and like your time is managed well, you're doing the things you want, and like, what does the picture look like to you when you're at the gym or, CrossFit or Orange Theory? Like, if you're take a step back as a little kid you and look at yourself and say, like if you were to just poke in and look at yourself and say, okay, I'm having fun. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
excited to be that person in 20
Right.
years. Like,
Right.
like they're having fun. They're having a drink with friends, or they're, if you're to pop in on those moments when you're getting ready in the morning, they're like, oh, I like, them. They have good skincare. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
their bathroom is cute. Like
Right.
to get into like the nuts and bolts of your life and start to build from that, and not to have these lofty business goals referencing these people that you don't even know online, that
Right.
these coaches are not real. Like,
You don't even
the
right.
they're not, it's media. That's what it
Right.
is. It's media. Like,
It
I have a
really
client and
is.
she was like, she got out of grad school and she's applying for all these jobs on LinkedIn. And I like use ChatGPT to kind of look at these jobs because she's in a very specialized field.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out a lot of the jobs she's applying for are not available. The companies just put the positions on LinkedIn to promote the company.
Really?
Yeah, so that's a thing that companies do. They put job openings on LinkedIn in order to promote the perception of their
He's
company, but those openings aren't there anymore. Like, they've already filled them. They're just letting, it's just a way of saying like, hey, this is how much we pay people. Like,
right.
it's just about, so what, and so
And so she was feeling like bad that they weren't getting back to her, but they're not even open
right.
jobs. Right. Wow.
These are not, yeah, these are just, it's about perception. So she's seeing all these things and like all these opportunities. And I was like, well, let's reset and talk about, what are your goals? Like, what did you want from a job? Like, what did you want to make, right? How do you want to feel day to day? You're reading these job descriptions and they sound like amazing, like, because these are
Right.
jobs, 6-figure jobs,
Uh-huh.
and they're all about, you have your own assistant and this and that, da 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 da.
It's the
And I'm like, well, what
difference
are you
between
doing?
means goals and ends goals. Like
Right,
most of us have these goals that are means goals. Like, I want a good
right,
job, I want to have this car, I want to make this amount of money, but like, why? Like, what does that
right,
give
right.
you? What's the what's the end game? What's the end goal? Because a lot of you spend your whole life pursuing means goals that aren't even meaningful to you.
Right. And like, we're at a time right now where I used to say to people all the time that we might die. Like,
Yeah.
we might die.
Yeah.
We might
We
die.
might.
So like,
Maybe.
this is the first time in my life where
We'll figure out how to freeze
there are
it.
things happening and I don't know what they are. Like the drones in New Jersey, like the news is just totally just like blanketed about, like,
What
I
is
can't find footage of the drones. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's been scrubbed. If you ask ChatGPT, it literally, it said to me, like, let's talk about something else. Like,
oh,
it's like, it was like, I was like, could you just find me news footage of the actual drones? Because I just want to see like actual verified news footage. And it
right.
was like, that footage no longer exists. It was, and I was, that's the weirdest time in my life where like there are actual like sorts of government cover-ups. Do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
obviously, there's some sort of cover-up there. I don't know what's going on with these drones. I don't know.
For real.
But
For real.
so yes. So it's like, get comfortable, people. Yeah. Switzerland and like 7 other European nations have sent out to their citizens a guide on what to
I
do.
saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. Which
Like,
is wild. I'm
if
moving
you
to
compare us
Portugal
to,
in the spring.
oh my gosh, Portugal, amazing. Like
I know.
forever?
Yeah, forever. I'm selling all my
Oh my
shit.
God. I would love to move to Portugal.
Come on.
So are you going to learn Portuguese?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Girl, I bet you that's quality D. I'm going to say right now.
So it's been a
It's
while.
top 10.
Yeah? You think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been with some Portuguese men. They're all primo, from what I remember back in my memorals. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
My
Uh-huh.
aunt's all worried. She's talking to my mom because my aunt would never in her my mom and I are moving together. She's moving in here at the end
Isn't
of
your
this
mom
month.
Jewish? Isn't your mom Jewish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so surprised. Like, your mom's moving to Portugal. Is she like
Oh
so
yeah, it
nervous?
was her idea. It was after the election. She was like, and the last time he won, which we don't have to get into politics, she said she wanted to move and she
Right.
wasn't about that life. And this time she was saying like, I'm going to move if that happens. And I'm like, okay. And then she like, it happened and
So
she's like, let's move. And we both found Portugal. I'm good with Portugal because I had my astrocartography done not that long ago. And I'm not even supposed to be in the Eastern United States, which I know because it has not been my vibe. I haven't found any like real life friends who are like on the level that I are into the same things or doing anything with their lives.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ready to fucking go. And so, yeah, we applying
Ooh.
for our visas. I'm selling all my shit. I was decluttering today. And I have,
What's the
talk
visa
about
process
means
like?
and
I've
ends
never had to
goals. It's
do a
like,
visa.
I have this business now that allows me to work from anywhere and
Right.
travel.
You're
And it's
just
like,
remote.
Amanda, you're fucking good. Like, you're
Right. Yeah.
fine.
You
Stop
totally are.
tripping.
Yeah.
And I know that. And I think that us like looking at other people, I think like jealousy is a really good hint that it's like you want something they have, but it's not necessarily everything they have,
Right.
like
Right.
using it as a reference of like, ooh, okay, there's something here that I really do want.
Yeah.
Okay, like what is it? Why? What's the feeling?
Yeah. You want their access to something. Like you want
Yeah,
the feeling of access or freedom that they have to something. And you can often sublimate that just by empowering yourself more. And then you realize, oh, I didn't
right,
even want exactly that thing. I just
right.
wanted the ability to have things like that, or I wanted
Like
the
that.
ability to create. Yeah. 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 Portugal. Ooh. So Portuguese is a hard language to learn, but like
I know, I'm
I'm sure
trying.
you can learn it. Yeah, but you're like a pretty girl. It'll be so easy to learn. Like, yeah,
I got the
like,
Duolingo and Babbel. Babbel's actually better than Duolingo.
yeah, Babel. I
Duolingo's
had,
just gamified
is
bullshit.
Duolingo the one with like the little pictures and
Yeah,
stuff?
the
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's
What do you have like is Babel expensive?
No, well, my mom got a subscription, so I just signed into hers.
Oh, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
I know. So I'm
Yeah.
selling my piano, my car, everything. I'm working on selling it right now.
Your piano. Wow.
Oh.
And then what about property? So what is it like in Portugal? Is it like where they have like leases that are 99 years, or can you buy a property, or what do you do? You're renting, of
So
course, at
they
first, I would hope.
want people to lease it for 5 years. If you're moving there,
Yeah.
you have to give them, first, last, and security. So it's like 3 months up
Okay.
front. We found a few places. We're looking at Portimao. And what's really interesting is like the exact town we're looking at, the coach that I had worked with like 2 coaches ago or whatever, I was talking to her on Monday. Her ex-husband, who had cheated on her, now lives in Portimao. And her kids are going back out there to visit in a few months, and she's selling all her stuff to go travel, and she's going to spend time there. How wild.
Wow. Yeah, Portugal is like the new Costa Rica because for a while I
Right.
think, yeah, yeah.
It was
Mm.
between Portugal and Costa Rica, but I've heard a lot of good things. Like, well, I've been there to the area we're going to, but like very, spiritual, high vibration. There's like a lot of portals I've heard. I'm really excited.
A lot of what?
Portals, like portals into other realms, maybe.
Oh, whoa. Mm.
Yeah,
Nice.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
It's beautiful. I know that from photos. I've never been, but that sounds lovely.
So
That
what's
sounds
going
amazing.
on with you? Give me an update.
What's going on with me? Let's see. It's Oh my gosh. So yeah, I got super, super depressed I went into a really bad depression. And so I started a month in December of ketamine therapy,
Did
like
you
of guided yeah, it's completely changed like
really?
the very first session was so amazing that
This is
um I went to sleep that night and I had this dream that that there was a young me criticizing me, like evaluating me, and he said, like I've always had that feeling. Do you know what I mean? And the
right.
funniest thing was
Yeah.
it was this like a really gorgeous version of young me, and he was just sort of like looking at my life, and he was like, "Here are the things that I don't like about you is that you don't contact your local representatives." And he and literally, and then he was like, "And that's it." And I woke up crying, I woke up crying, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was such a good feeling. And I called the therapist and I was like, her name's Lydia. And I was just like, Lydia, this ketamine therapy is amazing. Like my whole perspective has changed. Like,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
And
how
so,
does this work? Like what
so
did
yeah, so my sister did ketamine therapy it was like maybe a year ago. And she had like where she went to the clinic and she got the injections and it's like a high dose that's supposed to reset you, right?
yeah,
And I'm aware of ketamine because I'm like a gay guy from years ago back in
right.
my
Yeah,
days.
K-holes.
And so I was like, girl, if they give you a high dose, you're gonna go in a motherfucking K-hole. And she
Right.
was like, it was horrible. I was nauseous, and and so then she went to like where they do it guided in a clinic, but it's still the high dose. And then in December, I was like looking up telehealth things or whatever for like severe depression, and I started to get ads on Instagram for ketamine clinics, right?
Right.
And they would all message me, but it was just exorbitantly expensive, exorbitantly expensive. And then I found this clinic. It was called Anywhere Clinic, and they take insurance. And I sent it to my ex-husband because to ask him, I was like, is this legit? Because it was $75 for the consult. And then a local pharmacy in Alpharetta, Georgia, mails me the ketamine, like in this little thing. And it's
Oh
like
my God.
$50 prescription, a month supply, these little like sublingual melts. And then you can choose. Yeah. And so then you have like a guided session with a telesession with the therapist, Lydia.
Yeah.
And then she says, okay, like, this is what, the experience you want to have, da, 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 da. You
Yeah.
kind of talk about it. And then she says, if you want to do this when you start the ketamine, each time you do it twice a week, right? And it's like a low dose sublingual you put in your mouth that dissolves. And she helps you pick out your environment. So, you set up your little
Right.
ketamine cave and stuff. For me, I have all my spiritual stuff. I listen
Yeah.
to A Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
And
I'm reading
so
that
I
too.
had the audio of A Course in Miracles, if you have it on Audible, it's like this very like the guy's voice is amazing. He's always like, like, you are always forgiven. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
this.
Right.
So I put that on when I did my first session. And immediately I just started to be like, ooh, go back. I would go back and I'd be like, I started to relearn because I've done A Course in Miracles for several years in a row, like the lessons all the way through, Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't done the lessons for 2 years, but I've done all 365-day lessons of A Course in Miracles. And I
Wow.
love the text. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
the text of it, not the lessons, is beautiful,
I have the
And I
text.
have that big blue book. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I just got it.
Yeah. That like Bible looking book.
Yeah, it's like a
And
Bible.
so yeah, and so I started to listen. I just randomly went to a place on Audible, like in the book, because I hadn't
It's
downloaded
very
listen.
Jesus and Gotti, the language.
Well, so it's Gnostic and it's mystic, which I love. So
Yeah.
basically, Gnosticism and mysticism. A lot of the Gnostics and mystics, they believed in the teachings of Jesus, but they didn't necessarily follow all of the books of the Bible because there are apocryphal books that are taken out. Like the
Right.
Gospel of Thomas, which is not existing in the Bible, has a totally different idea of the Jesus. Like
Right.
Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas was playing in the mud, and when he was a little boy in the Gospel of Thomas, this is crazy, and he sees some birds. I'm sorry, he's playing in the mud, and he makes some of the mud into shapes of birds, and then he makes them into real birds, and they fly off.
Yeah.
As a kid, little Jesus, like,
Yeah.
bah, 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 bah. And so this kid says, like, that's witchcraft. I'm going to go tell on you. Like, you can't do that. And so Jesus turns him into a tree. Jesus is like, you know what? You want to run your, like, that
Right.
is not the Jesus we know.
No.
Like, and so so people go to Mary and Joseph and are like, please turn our son back. And Jesus turns the son back, but he leaves one of his arms wood. Like,
Nice.
that is not the Jesus that we know. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So
love
what I
that.
mean to say
That's
is
so
that
interesting.
there are other ideas. And so A Course in Miracles just embraces the idea that our understanding of sin is that sin means to have missed the mark. That's
Right.
and that's the original Aramaic word. It means to have missed the mark. And so if you believe that sin means to have missed the mark, then whenever you sin, you are just making a mistake. You're not doing something wrong. Because
Right.
everything wrong that I do is based on an error from my lineage. It's based on a misunderstanding. Like
Yeah.
if I steal, it's based on the idea that there's not enough, or that it comes.
Right.
So nobody needs forgiveness. So you are a blameless child of God because you're acting in a nightmare when you're evil. You're not a bad person. You're
Right.
just acting as if
Right.
in a nightmare.
Right.
Just like if you were hungry or tired or you had a fever, I wouldn't blame you for feeling irritable or whatever. Your mind isn't right, right? So when you're under the condition of sin, you don't need forgiveness. And so in A Course in Miracles, they say a lot like, you are blameless. You
Right.
are, and like to hear that over and over when you're like, I started to feel, oh my goodness, like I've been so hard on myself, and I just, so I'm listening to it, and then I would be like, go back again. And it would say, the only thing about A Course in Miracles, you're right, is it has a very patriarchal language. It's always him, he, son.
Yeah.
It's never daughter. It's never her. It's a very patriarchal language. But so it'll say, child of God, you were created only to create the good. Right. And so just listening to that when I was having the therapy, it just released a lot of my,
amazing.
just the pressure that I had on myself,
Yeah. So much.
Yeah. And just listening to,
Damn,
it's
I
a
wish
low
I still
dose.
had insurance so I could do ketamine therapy.
But no, that's not with my insurance. So that's the cash price, $75 for the consult. It's called Anywhere Clinic. My ex, when I told, he signed up for it yesterday. He did the telehealth visit. $75 for the initial telehealth visit. You get the prescription. They filled it through Alpharetta, got mailed to me. Actually, he was like nearby, and he's like, I'll pick it up for you. And so he went and picked it up like the day of, and it's the prescription was 55. That was it. Like I can put it, file it with my insurance or whatever, but it's called I've looked at all of the clinics and they're all in the hundreds and sometimes thousands for the therapy. It was 75 and 55. Anywhere clinic it's called.
Oh, we're definitely
and
doing
yeah, the PA there, Lydia Stearns, amazing woman. Like, but
Is this
yeah,
all
so
they do? Is the ketamine, or they do other stuff?
they do other stuff. Yeah, they do other stuff. And they won't do ketamine therapy for you. I just know this because like I asked the pharmacist. He was like, if you have panic attacks and things, ketamine can
Right.
sometimes. So it's not for panic, and it's for people that are having like depression. And I had been depressed since like October, like
See, that was
October,
the thing
November
is with
depression.
this last coach is I was under so much stress and pressure. And I said this to her and she's like, you just need to stop overthinking. And I'm like, that's just not
So
helpful.
simplistic.
Right. Like
Yeah,
that's
I hate
not
when people say
helpful
that.
for me.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when I was in
Just stop thinking.
when I was in recovery and I went to that horrible clinic that got shut down, Ridgeview, and the therapist said to me, she was like, and I was trying to leave and they were keeping me because they were trying to bill my insurance, like even
Yeah,
though,
right.
like,
Yeah,
and
go
they,
sell your
so I
house.
tried to leave, and yeah, and she said she was gonna like lock me into like, like basically like put me in one of those padded rooms and stuff. And so then I was like, I literally was gonna like I called the police on them, or tried to. And so then she said to me, she was like, calm down. And I said to her like, oh, really, you're a great therapist. That's a great technique. I said, you should just go in every room and tell people like, be sober, calm down.
Yeah,
I was
right,
like, have you ever
right,
thought
right.
like
I didn't
working with
hear that.
cancer patients and just be like, cancer gone? I was like, that's not what you do. You can't tell somebody to calm down or just stop overthinking. Like ruminating thoughts don't work that way. Like I'm aware that I need to stop overthinking, but you're gonna have to give me better tools than telling me
Right,
just to stop being who I
right.
be this entire time. Yeah.
I feel like it's just like working from home by myself, like so much time by myself, and like also just the situation with the coach. But like, yeah, it was really hard for me. And so, and I
Yeah.
realized like if I don't have that community like in real life, then I have to build it.
Right, right. That's why I joined Numi, just because it forces
Yeah.
me. I have to do these, like, in order for me to get referred. See, I thought when you sign up with Numi, when they send you all those leads, that you can just like reach out to. You can't. So you have to recommend another coach for those leads, and so then
Oh,
you have
so
to
I
get
can
into
go
these
in there for
pods.
you.
Well, if you're a Numi member, so what it does is it forces you to go into all the Numi pods and and start to coach those people. Like,
Right.
so because then they'll recommend you for things, right? Like, so
Right.
it forces you to build community. That's the problem with I think all coaching programs is that once you're a coach, we're like, bye-bye. And then
Right.
you realize, yeah. And so a lot of coaches were paying me because they were just like, they need somebody. Like,
Right.
it's not that they need my particular skills. It's just that I'm the stand-in for them having community, right?
Yeah.
And so like those are the people that I end up firing, because I'm like, because their homework ends up being like, we need to figure out a system where
Mhm.
you are on a schedule taking care of your community self. We are social animals, right? So
Right.
if you weren't taking your vitamins, if you weren't getting enough sunlight, if you weren't taking your supplements or drinking enough water, I would
Right.
not say to you, like, wait till you feel dehydrated as a motherfucker and then go drink some water, right? And like a week has gone by.
I signed up for a pole dance class on Saturday, and I'm signing up for clay and jewelry making today. I'm going to do it today or tomorrow.
That's all you need to do.
I have to get myself out there. I have to.
Yeah, and on a schedule, you have to keep doing it, just like drinking water,
Right.
whatever. You
Right.
can't wait until you get a top 2 months in, and then you're desperate, and then you're paying someone $3,500 just because you feel low.
Right. You know
Right,
what?
right, right.
And you've told
You
me
got
this
to show up
before,
on a
too,
schedule.
I need to have more fun and creative and stuff. And I was talking to that coach I'd worked with last year, who she's into human design astrology. She's like, yeah, your North Node is like Aquarius and 5th house. She's like, and I was like, yeah, I've heard that, like, I need to be in kitchens, like places where there's creative things. She's like, it's not just that, it's like
Ooh.
playfulness, child, fun,
Yeah.
just out and doing things. Like that's your environment. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
10-4. I know that. And like,
Yeah, because those are where you're going to meet the clients that you like too. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they get the whole sense of you. It's when I'm doing things like that, it's when somebody looks at me and goes, you give amazing advice, and I just love talking to you.
All of my most clients have come from is me going to community things, and it's always so easy. And I'm like, Amanda, this just needs to be a thing, you know?
You have to make it into a habit, otherwise it's going to be really hard.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have like a food that's good for you that you don't like to eat? I'm not like this because I was raised super poor, so I will eat like grass. Like we were made to eat anything, but yeah, so then you might be able to sympathize with this. Like when somebody can't, they're like, oh, I can't eat broccoli, the texture. You're like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? When they say things like that? But that's because they never were forced on a schedule to do it. And so they just never got acclimated to it. And now they really believe that broccoli makes them gag. It's like, no, just keep trying it and it'll go away. Like broccoli does not really make you gag. It just makes you gag because you're a big baby about it right now. So it's the same thing. You've got to start like taking care of yourself on a schedule socially and saying, okay, I know that I'm going to be more profitable. I'm going to be happier. I'm going to it's going to help me in all these domains.
Like, I've been trying to squeeze the fucking living life out of this business. I'm like, I have to do this all the time. And it's like, that's not the energy to bring to it. That's not where I do my best thinking.
It can be fun. It can be fun. It can be easy. It can be fun and it can be easy. And when because you put so much work into it, when you're doing something playful, it's going to come out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you have all of the things that you're talking about and stuff. They're going to come out when you're talking to people, and people are going to go, oh, I need that. And you go, oh, by the way, I'm just like a coach here. Boom. You know, yeah, those are the best. I love those clients are always the best because they know what to expect. They know about you and they have this great picture of you.
It's so true. I spoke at this one thing a couple weeks ago with a coach that I had worked with last year. She had me come do a talk there in school, and I got 4 clients just like that, just from doing it. And it was the easiest thing ever. And versus like going live every day, you know, creating content, So yeah.
So the thing is that
ketamine therapy and go have fun is what I've hearing from this conversation.
Yeah, that's what the ketamine therapy did for me, is that from the very first session, I started to realize, oh, I'm taking myself way seriously. Like I just literally was like, all of a sudden things became, I started to see things clearer. It's like my brain, it was almost as if, you know, I've been working out with like weights on my back, and then somebody took the weights off and I was like, oh, I can do this. Like I can, you know what I mean? Without the weights, I can do this. And that's the feeling that I get from the therapy. It's a great reminder. It gives me access to my happiness more.
And so are you going to continue with the twice a week, like ongoing, or is this just like,
so she said that, we had we basically did it. It's 1 month that you get at a time.
Okay.
So I'm at the end of my 1 month now. Like my last treatment is, so you do twice a week. So my last treatment I have one more treatment this week actually. So I have to do it in the evening. I try to, you know, cause like you're a little out of it. You can't drive and stuff when you're, and they're these sublingual melts. They're waxy. So if you swallow it, like it may hit you like hours later. She's like, you don't want to be like trying to go to the bank and all of a sudden you're in a K-hole. So you just let them melt under your tongue for about 10 minutes, and it tastes kind of Robitussin-y. It's not the best taste. And they prescribe with it. They give you some Zofran if it makes you nauseous, but it hasn't made me nauseous like my old experience with the stuff used to. But this, I guess, because it's pharmaceutical grade, it's just very smooth. You just suddenly.
Portugal has everything legalized.
Yeah, of course. So it'd be easy to get in Portugal because they're probably going to crack down on it in the United States. Because I started to read an article about they're like, so, you know, Matthew, what's his name from Friends who died? What's his name? Matt, you know, Chandler, Matt Perry. Yeah, Matt Perry, Chandler. He died like a couple years ago in his pool, and it turns out that he was on ketamine therapy and he was abusing it. So Congress is like talking about maybe putting more restrictions on it. And you know, we're moving into a more conservative administration now. That's you know, that's really, it's more about just like they're very concerned with what people are doing with their bodies. Unless you're really wealthy. If you're a billionaire, you know, we need to just cherish you and like hope that you support the economy, do what you want.
But you tell us what you need.
Right. But if you're not, then like we need to be like, what are you doing with your vagina? And like, like close that up. What is that? What's happening here? You haven't afforded you're not able to like your own body autonomy. Be a billionaire and then you've got body autonomy.
You haven't earned it. You haven't earned it.
Yeah, unfortunately. Totally get it.
That is so cool about the ketamine.
Yeah, it's changed everything for me.
That we all needed to talk today, and I feel very much better.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
What else?
So tell me what, okay, so let me think of what else. So the things that I need to work on right now, I would say are always my organization. And
Oh
I'm
my
glad you
God.
talked about, yeah, I'm a mess with organization. I just keep purchasing things.
No, I'm
Like,
figuring out Notion because when I met with this other coach on
oh,
Monday,
you
she was
figured out
telling
Notion?
me,
Okay.
so she's really into Notion. She has an assistant who helps her with her content, and she sent me the social media one and then the planner, the template that she used. And I still ended up spending like a day looking at all the Etsy templates. And I ordered like
Oh,
10, but now I'm just gonna tone it down to
oh,
two
so you
because
got, okay, so,
we have the planners everywhere. That
right,
coach,
right,
she
right,
got
right.
me this ADHD planner. She's like, "You're ADHD. You need this planner. This planner is like
Yeah.
way too much." And I
Yeah,
need
those
everything
ADHD
digital.
planners they're not designed by anybody from behavioral science. It's just somebody who
No,
just throws everything together
they
and
just
like,
put it all
um,
together, and I'm like,
right,
"This
right.
is
And what's that software that's online, the design software that everybody uses? It's
Canva."
like where you can make Canva. They just throw it all together in Canva,
Right.
and then they a company makes it and they put it on Amazon. And I
And then
like
they call it
really if
ADHD.
right, you just put ADHD like because it's gonna just like tie you up with your own ADHD. Like it's so overwhelming. Like every morning it's like asking all these questions and like
There's like
look
15
check
definitions in here every day.
right.
I'm like, I don't have time
Right.
for this. Like, I don't.
Right. I'm
And,
like, I don't remember how much water I can't bubble in every time I drink some water or whatever.
right.
Like I'm
And so
yeah.
what I like about Notion is you can customize it, you can move things
Okay.
around. And even though
Hmm.
I got like hyper fixated on all these different templates, and I'm like, I'm looking at three, and now
Right.
I have them all here. But I know that I have to create systems. That's my word, my theme for this year is systems and adventure. I know they seem opposite,
Oh,
but
I
like
love that.
the
No, I love that.
systems enable the adventure. Like
Right,
adventure
right,
is
right.
being able to take time off and
Hmm.
explore and go on a
That's
spontaneous
so
trip.
funny.
And
Do
I
you want
need
to know like what I
systems.
wrote on my calendar? I wrote structured joy, which is basically the same thing. The structure was the systems and the joy was the adventure. Because I
That's
was like, I need the structure so that I can get to the joy. Like
right.
so, yeah. Which that reminds me. So what she was talking about with with the what we got to talking about with the ketamine, she said. So she was like, so what are your goals? And I said, well, I want to get away from pleasure and joy because what I'm doing right now is experiencing just little pleasure, like to alleviate the stress of
Right.
like not having joy, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
the joy is like that great feeling of like a relationships and
Right,
you know connectivity and like
right,
loving the verse. But so instead I'm like, you know, eating like doing things like this for temporary pleasure but not
right,
joy, right? Because
right,
like
right.
nobody
I
thinks
see.
back like on your deathbed and thinks like, oh, I just remember every sweet hot donut I ever ate, you
Mm.
know, like or like every cigarette or whatever it is
You
that you
just
get
get
into.
one donut or do you get more?
I've already eaten one, otherwise this would not be sitting here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Okay.
I have like seriously, I literally so I get two of something. Like even when I go to meet like a friend somewhere, if they're like, let's have coffee and whatever, I will get there early and like eat what I'm gonna order. Like
Yeah,
if it's like a sweet thing. And
right.
then I will order when they're there so that I can be like all gentlemanly and just like
Yeah, and dainty. And then you're like, oh,
right.
little
Yeah,
donut.
because like I cannot tell you how many times I've been in situations where people go, "Oh, you really ate that." Because like literally, if it's like the first one, I'm just like, "Uh-huh,"
Right.
like you know, I just like, and they'll be like, "There's
And you're
something
like,
on your
learn
face,"
my lesson. Never again
right,
will the
right?
first
Because or
donut
they'll be like,
be
"There's
in
something on
public.
your face." There's always something on my face. Like if you know if it's something like that, like so. And I always take it like as an insult if like I'm in that and they're like something on I don't know why, but if they say there's something on your face, I almost feel like I don't know. I know that it's not meant to be, but it might be a rejection
And
sensitivity or whatever.
yeah,
But
no,
the
for
minute they
sure.
say
You
that,
should be like,
I'm like, I'm hideous.
yeah,
Like,
but don't look at
yeah,
me. Don't look
yes.
at me.
So I just like, they're always like, oh, you're so perfect. You're so dainty or something. And I'm thinking, bitch, I got here an hour ago. Like, I
Right.
already
You don't
slept with
even know what
everybody
all
here.
went into this. Okay,
Right.
that's so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adventure and systems. That's me. And I was watching Mami Onami. She did this Notion boot camp with this woman who's like a CEO coach. And the way
Yeah.
they started the whole Notion, which I thought was cool, like they built their entire back office, like her Notion, you know, from scratch. And they started with
Right.
a values exercise. And the values were like,
Hmm.
you do a big values dump. And then it's like, okay, what is this? Not the dictionary definition. Like, what does this mean to you? And so one of them
Hmm.
was like, freedom or something, and it was like, yeah, spontaneous trips to the grocery store, having fun, and what's the challenge or the obstacle to this? And it's like selling my live time, because when you're doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, and it's your time that's involved. And so I started going down that rabbit hole, and I was like, I don't have time to build out an entire Notion. I'm just going to use a template.
These people got so much time to do this shit. I'm just
I'm
like,
like, we're not
baby.
there yet, so I can
I don't
do,
think I'll ever be there. It's like human rights. I
I
don't know
don't have,
how, like, when I see people talk about it, I'm like,
and like
okay.
parts of me want to be there, and the other part's
I
like,
want to be
no.
that person. I do want to be that person, but like I've realized I'm not going to be that person. I'm never going to be that. I will be that person when I can pay somebody who's like can help me with it.
Same.
You know what I mean?
I've heard the best project management tool is the one that you use, and so I'm like, I just have to have a system, because I know I can't like bring more clients in until I have more structure. Like it's like, if you want all these clients, like if you were to go viral tomorrow, Amanda, could you handle 20 new clients coming in at the same time, like to reach that? And I'm like, well, we're about to be ready. We're about to be ready.
Right, we're gonna get there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that's why I'm building out the 299 thing, because it just feels so much more fun. I just want to. It's like work, live to work, not work to live, or work to what, you know what I mean? Like, it's fun. I love it. It's my favorite. I fucking love coaching. It's just the most fulfilling thing. And also, it's like, you want to have a whole life.
Right. I think too, the thing is like with coaches, is that what I'm starting to realize, your dog is so funny. Your dog literally just talks English. It's like, hello human, like you're my slave. That's how my dog is too. He'll literally look at me like, dummy, I need you to open this. I don't have thumbs. Like, come over here. Just he'll just be looking at me like he's like, thank you. It's literally like you're his elevator button to like call the elevator. Like he's just like, he's like, this one's slow today. Yeah. Like like we are in, because we're in capitalism, there are some things that we pretend that we don't notice, but like, so if you're a coach and you're coaching other people, like for social media and things, it's an image business, right? So like you have an image online and you have a certain whatever. And what I've realized is that in order for me to be like at the same level with my clients, I cannot have clients that do not know how to feel attractive.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like what I've realized is that if somebody feels ugly all of the time and they don't know how to get to it, that doesn't mean they have to be naturally gorgeous. But if you don't know how to feel attractive at any time, like in an image industry, then you're always going to feel really strange, because I know how to get to where I feel attractive, right? I can doll up or whatever things I need to do, right?
I know how to do it.
Yeah. And so it's like so I've started to realize like, okay, I want to work with people that feel attractive.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean they have to look like I think they're hot or whatever, but they have to feel attractive.
No, but there's got to be a certain level of self-respect going on here.
Right. If they don't feel attractive and I feel attractive, it's going to be weird, because it's going to be like, so like I realized that I would like to work with people that are moving towards feeling attractive, that are moving towards feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I want an assistant like that. I think when I find an assistant, they're going to be, you know what I mean? Somebody that's like that.
VA, literally no one builds an empire by themselves. Like we could hire a VA for like $15, $20 an hour for like an hour or two a day.
Mm-hmm.
Significantly make our lives easier. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm dragging my feet on it. I'm telling myself,
I need to do that.
7-figure coach who she had me set up her school, which was like my easiest client. She was the one who I was in her container last year. And I'm like, dude, these are like my perfect clients. And she's got this whole team, and they all tell you this, that like, you can't build it yourself. At the beginning, you're doing everything yourself. And I do think there's you need to be able to know
there's
how
some
to
value
do it
to know, right? You don't want to just be blind to your business. Right.
You can't just hire somebody though to like do your social media and have nothing to do with it. I don't think
be like, I don't know how to log in. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But there's other things you can hire people for, and it's so easy. My mom's she just started doing like Facebook ads, and she's got all these leads coming in who are taking this quiz, and
her mom's amazing.
Her number on there, and she's gonna have a VA text them or something. And I'm like, man, I need to do that.
Her mom is amazing.
I know.
Do you ever look at your parents and you're like, you realize that you're like, you got more, we're in a more aware time, and they don't necessarily have the awareness, but they just truck on through. You're like, but she's still doing it. Right?
I know, she's still doing it. She's still doing it. No, I went to my dad's house over Thanksgiving. Dude, that place was a disaster. It's bad. It's bad. And he's like, Yeah, he's like falling apart at the seams, man.
Oh
Like
no.
literally, like his
Yeah.
clothes are not on
Does he
right.
does he
Like
have a woman in his life?
no, God no. He
Yeah,
never
see,
leaves his
that's why.
house.
Yeah, that's why. Like it's tough to be a man if you don't have a woman in your life because women are smarter,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah. It's the truth. It is the truth.
Saying, but like, we need each other. We need each other.
We
But
do. Of
like,
course, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't
I
have to be romantic, but you do need a woman
right,
in your life. Like
that's
every man,
true.
if you don't have a woman, women are great with structure and
I
organizing and
always
all
thought it
like
was that
networking, reticulating.
when they got
Yeah.
divorced and I would go over to his house for a little while, like as a kid, and then I kind of like he went downhill. And it was like, I thought it was because, his wife and daughter had left him, and that is it. But it's also the lack of the support and the,
Yeah, the
emotional,
structure.
yeah, the
Yeah.
structure.
Like like men on their own, like we just are very linear thinkers. So
Right,
we can just be going to the next thing, to the next, and everything falls to the wayside, and we're like,
right.
oh, yeah,
What's going on here?
right. Like it's the funniest thing. I never think of myself as like a typical guy, but like that will happen to me. Like
Yeah,
I'm lucky. I have my sister. I have you. I have women in
right,
my lives that are like,
right.
but when I used to shut people out and go dark, especially
Yeah,
when I was using, like I would just look like any other. My life would look like any other straight dude. You know what I mean? It was
yeah,
exactly the same because I don't have that brain. Like
right.
like
That's
I just don't have that
interesting.
brain.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because I always thought, would think to myself because I'm so like effeminate and everything, like think like, oh, but I do not think like a woman. Like whenever, like sometimes I will talk to women about like ideas that I have. I'll be like,
Yeah,
oh, here's my peacock of an idea and it's going to network to
yeah,
this and this. And they'll be
yeah.
like, but what if you just like didn't do it so complicated and do it this way? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's right. You know what I mean? Like women do
That's
that
it.
to me all the time. Yeah. Like I will get to thinking and I think it's so genius and they'll
So
literally be like,
genius.
yeah. There's just a different way of thinking. I think
But
women are
I'm even
great at
like that, like to
linking
myself,
things.
I'm not. But when I'm doing it like with clients or like I had all these Notion templates. And so when I was live
Yeah,
right before this, I'm like showing my people I'm live. I'm like, so I have this template and this template and this template, and I don't know which one I want to use. And one girl was just like, well, because the only thing I didn't like about one of them was that the daily planner part, I didn't like the way it was laid out. She's like, well, why don't you just make the daily one like you like so you don't have to build out like this whole
right.
fucking thing. And I'm like, that is so smart. Like, why didn't I think of
Well,
that?
well, I think because you and I are very similar in this way is that we are very consumer oriented, so we want to buy the perfect thing.
I do.
Like because
I do. And
it
so,
feels good. Yeah, we
right.
don't want to
And
make
when
it, we
I
want to
can't
buy.
when the Notion templates I got weren't hitting it, I'm
That's
like, let me just see
ADHD.
what else is there. Let me just
Right.
see.
That's
There's
ADHD.
probably
Yeah.
a perfect one out there that I just
Right.
haven't found yet. And
That's
when
we
I
get the
find it,
dopamine from that process. We're gonna find that thing and we're good at that because we spend so much time. Like you don't know how many women fall in love with me when I'm in a retail environment and I bump into some woman and she's looking and I'm like, oh, I've looked at all those. You want to go over there and get that and then do and she's like, what? Because she doesn't realize I've been shopping my whole life. You know what I mean?
right,
Like so
right,
so it's
right.
like we have that shit down to a science. We should have been personal buyers, except for the fact that like it
For
doesn't pay
real,
enough.
I could
But
do it for other people.
yeah.
So in this Mommy Onami thing I'm in right now, it's a 40-day money challenge. And this is crazy. Every single day for 20
What is
days.
it called? Mommy what?
Mommy Onami. I'll send you her. But she
So
shows up
that's her
on Zoom
name?
every single day for 20 minutes and we do a
Is she
Kriya
Asian
and
or
like,
something?
huh?
Is she Asian or something?
No,
Mommy
no, no.
Onami is her name?
She's white as fuck, but Onami stands for
Okay.
on a mission. Um,
Oh, I get
that's
it.
her made
Okay.
up name. Like her, I know.
Oh, I totally thought she was like Japanese or something. Like she was like
Right. No,
mommy, oh
no.
nami. I was like,
So we do
ooh.
the Kriya and the yoga, and it's a whole money thing. So it's like a magical process where it's like we're doing the Kriya and the Tantra every day, and then there's like a homework assignment. And so yesterday's homework assignment, and I just love the way she's built her business, was like
That just sounds
decluttering.
expensive.
And she was like, no, it's $200 a month.
Oh, that's not bad. Mommy, oh
No,
nami. Get
that's
out
why
of here.
I'm doing this
Yeah.
$299 thing. I'm like, I don't have the audience yet to be able to do 200,
Yeah.
but $299 is like as good as
When
I
she
can
does
do.
the tantric thing,
The Tantra and the yoga, no, it's so
oh
cool.
my
And
gosh.
so
Oh, I
she's
bet you
got
she's
like
amazing in the
16
sack.
different workshops in there, and you can either
Yeah.
buy the workshop by itself for like $800 or $900 depending, or you can just pay the monthly. And I'm like, dude, I'm definitely
Okay.
doing this. But my point was, our thing was decluttering yesterday, and I was
Right.
going through all my stuff today, decluttering, and I was so overwhelmed, like looking at all this, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And I'm just getting rid of things. And something she said, she's like, it's good to thrift. She's like, I fucking love a good deal, but she's like, pay attention to when you're decluttering, how much of this stuff is just shit that you bought because you wanted something
Right. You
versus
just
how
needed
much
something
of
at
it
that moment.
Right.
Right.
Was like, you really, really want it. And she said, so you can still bring stuff to Goodwill, but just like, if there's something that you're getting rid of that you really think would be trash to you, like, just be cognizant, like, of passing that on to somebody else, and don't let people
Right.
bring their shit to your house. Like, you don't need any more
Right.
shit. And I'm like,
Yeah, don't force it on your friends and family if like it's not if they don't need it because
right,
you're just trying to offload it. Yeah. Yeah,
right.
that's a
Someone
very
was like,
yeah, that's Marie
just
Kondo.
get
She
me
says
take
that a
this
lot.
like stained towel. And I'm like, no, I don't want this
Right.
towel. Every time I go to my mom's house, she's trying to pass shit off to me. And I'm like, I don't
Right.
want this.
Yeah, I saw this funny
I
meme.
don't
It was like it said like in your 30s going to your mom's house and like this girl goes to her mom's house and her mom's like, "Here are all your middle school projects in a box." And she's like, "Mom, but like what did you couldn't throw them out?" And she's like, "Okay, I'll throw them out." And she's like, "But wait, maybe I would need them." She starts like looking through them, you know? It's like you know how your mom's always getting rid of those things? She's like, "Here
right.
are all that." Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And like
I
it's
know
so
I was
funny
throwing
because
away these pictures of my mom and dad from like their honeymoon and stuff today. I'm like, going to Portugal is such a good exercise because it's like, are you going to bring this on
right.
the plane or are you going to ship it there? No, no, I'm
Oh
not.
no, what would I do though? Yeah, I have so much like little
So many
what
things.
is so what is this would kill me. What's the electrical standard? Because like I have so many things that plug in, you know, like
I
the
never really
electrical
thought about
standard,
that, but you can get the adapters.
not really. No, not if you're living there. So like, you know, in Europe they have the yeah, because it electron yeah, you would need to just get the different device like if they don't make that, you'd have to get the European, you know, the plugs and
So
stuff.
I
It's
just need
you
a different charger for my MacBook that I just bought, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, MacBook will definitely have it because
Okay.
MacBook is like a, you know,
Right.
worldwide thing. It'll
Okay.
be easy
Okay.
to get. But then all the other specialized things that you have,
Right.
like electronic
You know, all
things,
the ring lights, microphones, fucking,
right.
oh my
Like I
God.
remember my mom when she went to the Philippines, she had that and her curling iron melted and bent because it wasn't set up properly. Even though she had the converter, like it wasn't
The converter. Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. That's happened to
yeah.
me.
Oh
That's
no,
crazy.
yes. They have good high speed though, so that's good.
Right.
You hear like these are my values.
I
Like,
know.
can I
I
buy-
know. You with your tech. I found this
yeah.
new AI tool. It's called Poppy AI, and it's like a mind
Okay.
map.
PAPI or POPPY?
Poppy. I'll send you
Okay.
a link. You can get 25
Okay,
bucks.
not like I poppy, more like poppy seeds. Like
Yeah, poppy
poppy,
seed.
they're
Yeah,
sweet.
right there.
Yeah.
It's like a mind map. It has like, it's like Miro, and then it has Claude and ChatGPT, and you can do voice notes, and it can read websites and videos and YouTubes and it PDFs. It's
How much is
insane.
that? I
So
need
I
that.
paid
I'm
for
gonna
the
save that.
year. It was 300 for the
Poppy.
year, and you get unlimited. You get ChatGPT and Claude included. So it's cheaper.
Done.
Yeah,
We're doing that. Poppy. I'm gonna text it to myself.
I'm gonna send
Um
you the link to get 25 off.
oh thank you so much. Poppy. Is it poppy.com or just Poppy? Probably
Poppy.
yeah, I'm just gonna do. Oh my god,
It's so cool. I'm gonna do a video on it because
oh yes.
um it's really cool. And do you know what? These guys are so cool, the ones who made it.
Yeah.
I'll text it to you guys. So when I joined, they do a 45-minute onboarding with you that's included. And so I met with this girl, and then they did a group chat with me, like the guys who developed the app. They were like,
Wow.
because they really want to build the user base.
Yeah.
They know, like, they want you to like promote them. I
See,
know, but
that's what I need too, because sometimes I buy these tools and then I'm just like lost. So if you know if somebody were to onboard me like that, then I would, you know, you feel more because
amazing.
then you're it's that first barrier to entry once you buy a tool and you're like so overwhelmed. You're like, now I got
Great.
it's like this high doc, like it's probably not even that hard, but I have to just download the software that like does the notes and stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, so I've just been looking at it every time I have a Zoom or you know session with a client. I'm like, this would really help if I did this because it
Right.
even saves with the names. It does a transcript of the whole meeting. And so then it can create notes. It has templates that you can do them. And then it will create like, so for my client sessions, I could have this template set up and it could come up with the goals, it'll like summarize the whole meeting. And then I could just send it to a client afterwards and be like, oh, you know, it's like a
Have
nice
you
little,
used Google Notebook LM?
I don't think
Oh,
so.
you would
Google
love.
Notebook.
One of my clients put me on. So he goes live every day, and he has a bunch of YouTube
Right.
videos, and he does like 2-hour long calls with his people every week. You
Yeah.
basically just plug the transcript in, and it does what you said. Like, it'll create lesson
Yeah.
plans, outlines,
Oh,
Table of
wow.
contents. It's not really for
Oh,
sessions
it's
as
a
much.
research assistant. Okay,
Yeah,
great. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and you can upload PDFs and stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the high doc because it was like they had a Black Friday deal and
And
it was
it's just
so
automated, which sounds nice.
yeah, and it has and then also you've got the little earpiece, which I love having a nice little wireless like for
Yeah.
that or speakerphone. And then the Zoom controls, like all the it's nice to just have like and it records everything out and the lifetime subscription. So we'll see, but I haven't used it yet, so we'll see.
That is so
It's
cool.
yeah, it's
That is
actually been in a box since like Black Friday. I bought some I'm sorry, African American Friday things. Um that like I'm just now I was at Best Buy during Black Friday and I jokingly said African American Friday to the person working. And
Yeah.
then they looked at me like eerily and then they started saying it like because they thought that I was serious. They were like, for Africa. And I was
Oh
like,
my God, no.
I was, I was like, wow. I was like, it's great that you're so accepting and open, but like, I don't think that they're related. I think that
Right,
Black Friday's just like its own,
right,
has to do more with
right.
like
I
the
don't think,
economy or
oh my God.
what is Black Friday related to? Is it related to like the stock market crash, like 1929, like the Black Tuesday or whatever?
It is. That
Is
sounds
it?
right. Right?
Yeah, I
What is
don't
it? No,
know.
I think it's just one of those American consumerist holidays. It's like, go buy
Right,
what
we
you
just make it up because we're like, we need money.
right,
Right.
right. I'm like, this
Yeah,
is genius. This is genius.
it is because I get into the frenzy. Like after Thanksgiving, I'm like, what do I need? I need deals. So
I need
I'm
deals.
out.
Hit
Right.
me
If
with
I
the
see people
deal.
rushing to something, I'm like, what are we fighting over? What do we need, people? Like, what's this?
Right, right, right. Let me get in there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it's so good to catch up with you. I needed
I
this.
know. Me too.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I wish Stephanie could be here, but she's 3D printing me a large dildo.
Very long.
I'm just kidding. Huge, huge, huge. No, she is 3D printing something. Like Stephanie is living like my geek life. Like I want a 3D printer.
Just
Like
all over like in the fucking cave, like at the 3D printers and that.
right, right. I want a 3D printer, but like every time someone shows me a 3D printer, I think I would fuck it up. I would fuck that shit up. It's a lot of like you have to know what you're doing.
Like,
We're not there yet. That was fun.
mwah.
Bye. Love y'all. Mwah. That was fun. Bye.